tech to help keep us safer during the pandemic. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin, and joining me is Mark Lewis, the CEO and co-founder of a company called Solos Analytics, maker of FeverGuard. Thank you for joining us, Mark.
Good to be here, Fred. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Well, give us an overview about what you're doing there.
Yeah, sure. So really when COVID first started, one of the things that I saw was I went out to buy a thermometer to, be able to check whether I had a fever or not. And I was kind of amazed that the technology was basically so aged and antiquated that, you still just stuck something under your tongue or under your arm and kind of got a reading and then didn't really know what to do with it. So in thinking about that, we started to investigate and found that, temperature is a pretty good indicator of illness in general, infections, both viral like COVID or bacterial infections. It's got a lot of uses in the medical community, and yet we don't really have a nice, easy way to measure it. So we came up with FeverGuard, which is a upper arm worn device. It connects via Bluetooth, and it monitors and measures your axillary or underarm temperature. I'm wearing one for those on video right now. It's just a simple little comfortable band with a little device that measures your underarm axillary temperature. And we provide that to you via an iPhone or Android interface, so through an app. And you get to read your temperature, but you also be able to get to monitor your temperature. You can just wear this as much as you want and when you want. You can wear it if you're not feeling well. You can wear it just as a precautionary measure. So you'll know early on if you get a fever. And we measure temperature. And one of the other things that we built into this, being techies, is every individual's temperature is different. So people between male and female and older and younger vary 2 to 3 degrees for their normal temperature. So everybody's normal is different. And then everybody varies throughout the day. They call this your circadian rhythm for temperature. And that's another 2 to 3 degrees. We learn all of that about you. So we basically can form a normalized temperature pattern for you. And then we focus on anomaly detection, telling you when your temperature patterns are abnormal for you. This allows for faster fever detection and faster issue detection for potentially other issues. So in a nutshell, that's what we did, was kind of revolutionize temperature taking.
And you've done it in a way that, because it's communicating with an app, that this data can be shared or not, I suppose. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we're very focused on data privacy. Individuals can always choose to share their health data. That's their choice. For us, we keep their data private. It's theirs to own. There's no company or organization. Nobody can buy the data. It is your personal temperature data. But yes, you may wish for whatever reason to provide temperature data, maybe to your doctor, for example, to say, am I okay? Should I take action, as evidentiary things for your own medical records? So you can do that, but we're very focused on individual user privacy.
So give us some use case scenarios. I mean, can this be used to provide information, say an older adult, a senior living alone with a loved one, for instance, or a caregiver, that kind of thing?
Right. In these COVID times, one of the use cases is just as an early warning. So many of us are concerned about getting it. And we, if I were to get it, I care for my wife's elderly parents. If I knew I was getting a fever, I would not want to go down and care for them and protect them. So you can wear it as a precautionary measure to basically determine if you're going to have a fever. You can use it in place of a normal thermometer when you're not feeling well, to monitor your temperature, to know when should you take Tylenol, when is your temperature spiking, is it getting better? So it just becomes a monitor for you, or for monitoring your child. If your kid is sick, being able to just look on your phone and look at their temperature from time to time. So many use cases like that. We're also talking to, you can imagine there's a number of companies that are providing vaccines, providing various types of flu shots, clinical trials and studies, where they all want to study and have people monitor their temperature after they get a shot. Or you want to monitor your temperature after you get a vaccine to see if you get a fever. So it can be used for monitoring. It can be used for your own learning. Ultimately, we'll start adding in new things like helping you improve your sleep. Your body, your skin temperature actually rises as your core temperature cools when you're trying to go to sleep. And we can tell you when it's time to go to sleep, when it's a good time, when your body's ready for sleep. We can also tell you during the night if you're not sleeping well, if you're too warm or too cold, or your body is really waking up, and do that. You can, of course, it's known, monitor fertility and ovulation with temperature. So there's many applications for kind of continuous warm temperature. But initially, obviously, we're focused on more the urgent need around COVID and what's going on there.
Sure, but at this point, you're not set up to be able to share the information with a caregiver, say automatically, that kind of thing.
We have the facilities, yes. What we would do now still is we do have an administration console available that we're starting to work with healthcare providers, where they would provide the device and then they would monitor for, like telemedicine. So we are working on that, but that's kind of a different vein than what we're selling today. What we're selling today is an individually purchased device. You can go online, you can download your data history, and it comes in a spreadsheet format. You can download whatever date period you want, and then you simply mail it to your doctor via that secure email.
And this uses a battery, so it's not rechargeable. And I guess there are some advantages to that.
Well, yeah, it's a little battery operated device, and what's really fun about it is when it's just sitting here on the table or whatnot, it's off, and just simply the act of putting it under your arm turns it on. So the temperature, it detects the increase of temperature, and then it'll come on. And it uses what we call low power, low energy Bluetooth, BLE. And what's great about that is this one little watch cell battery should last well over a year. At the very minimum, if you wore 24/7, it's going to last over 6 months. But in almost every case, it'll last over a year. And if you only use it intermittently, it'll last longer than that. So it's very power efficient. It's not, and that's why we elected, and it's also very water resistant, which is why we elected to not use a rechargeable option here, because it's simple, it's easy, and it just works.
And how tightly does it need to be worn to be effective?
Yeah, I don't even notice I'm wearing it. It's that usual rule: if it hurts, it's too tight, and if it falls off, it's too loose. But this is a nice little kind of leathery elastic band. So you just put it around. It's like a soft rubber band, and you don't even. Like I said, I wear it 24/7. I don't even feel it, and I only take it off when I shower, really. It's super comfortable. We did an original alpha design that wasn't very comfortable, and we spent a lot of time on ergonomics, and like I said, you don't even notice it.
Very cool. So tell us about pricing.
Yeah, sure. We're selling on Amazon. Straight up pricing is $59.95, basically $60. That includes all the cloud services, all the software, apps, everything. And again, we expect, some people may buy this as just a handy home thermometer. So if you're not feeling well, you can wear this around for a while and see if you get a fever. Some want to use it for their kids. Some want to wear it, as a way to help detect if they're getting sick. Maybe they're a healthcare provider or something like that. So any of those use cases, but all available on Amazon today.
And I suppose one of the best use case scenarios could be, in addition to the COVID scenario, is a child that in bed sick, and a parent doesn't have to go in and wake them up in the middle of the night to take a temperature, or it doesn't even have to be a child and someone else in the household not feeling well. You don't
Yeah,
have to disturb them.
absolutely, Fred. Absolutely. And think about being able to track their temperature. So this will show, even in the basic mode, which is applicable for children because only the last 72 hours of data are stored on the phone, and only the phone. You can record the history. So you can see, okay, I gave my kid some Tylenol, and I've watched this happen where we've had an employee whose son got sick, showed the fever, gave them some Tylenol, and you could watch the effect of the Tylenol slowly lowering the temperature. So you can see exactly when the temperature's been lowered, and then you can see again when the Tylenol starts to wear off, you can see exactly the rise. So you can avoid over medicating. You can exactly tell, when the temperature's starting to go back up, and provide, say, more Tylenol if appropriate.
Now, you kind of hinted at some of it, but are there other things that you want to do with this, where you want to take this?
Yeah, so we're working on full FDA approval now, which would allow us to enter some more highly regulated environments and whatnot. Originally, as we said, it's for individual use case and monitoring. But one of the largest markets potentially is the post-operative infection or surgical market, where you go in, you get outpatient surgery, and the most likely thing you are to get from outpatient surgery, which costs literally in the US about $5 billion a year, is a post-operative infection. If caught early, it's no big deal. Usually take some antibiotics, you're okay. If not caught early, you have to get rehospitalized. And so there's a keen interest, obviously, in being able to have early detection. This is the perfect use case for that. But even think about in-hospital monitoring, where in bed, your blood pressure is taken all the time. You have all these things hooked up to you. And yet, if they need to take your temperature, a nurse has to go in and manually come in and take your temperature. And the economics of that are very expensive. So there's markets in and throughout healthcare. Another good example is heat stroke. Heat stroke will require a little more complex software to detect, but we do believe we can detect the early signs of heat stroke. That's the number one cause of death in the military. So there's incredible opportunities there in even high school sports. Number one cause of death in high school sports is heat stroke, because by the time people get heat stroke, it's usually too late to have an impact. So if we could detect it a little bit sooner, you can remediate the effects of heat stroke, for example. So lots of cool things.
For more info, where can people go?
The website, www.FeverGuard.com. It's got everything. It's got the pointer to the Amazon link. If you need that, got some insights there. So one spot to go.
Terrific. Mark Lewis, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Thanks, Fred. Appreciate it.
Cooking with the power of the sun. Hi, I'm Fred Fishkin, here to tell you about the latest innovation from my friend Patrick Sherwin and his great team at GoSun Stove. The GoSun Fusion has arrived using the company's tried and true reflectors and a solar vacuum tube to get you cooking without the mess of charcoal, heavy propane tanks, or smoke. A really bright idea. And with an optional solar panel and battery storage and the ability to plug in at home or on the road, you really can use the GoSun Fusion to cook anytime and anywhere, day or night, rain or shine. I love what Patrick and his team are doing, and so will you. Want to learn more? Head to gosun.co to check out all of the company's products and innovations, and use the code Techstination to save 10%. That's gosun.co.